and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1416B, and today's date is November 3rd, 2017, and the title of the episode is, The Walls Are Closing In on the Cabal. They are now covering their tracks. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, we understand that the corporate media, Google, Facebook, Twitter, and the U.S. government, they're out there. And there are other countries that are doing this also, where they're saying that they need to crack down on fake news. And, of course, they took on these fact checkers to make sure that they check the facts, to make sure that real news is just getting out there. And what we've come to find out is that the whole entire system is made up of fake news, and the fact checkers are just backing up these news outlets and saying that these news stories are real. And we see at this point that a lot of these fact checkers are backed by the intelligence agencies. And CNN, that's one of the networks where they continually put out bogus stories and like Russian collusion, and we find out that there was never any type of Russian collusion. They couldn't back up any of their statements, any of their stories. And we know from the past that they kind of fake their satellite feeds where they have a split screen and they show two reporters, and both reporters are reporting on this news story, and they're supposed to be in two different locations. And we come to find out that they're in the exact same location, but they're trying to make it look like they're in two different locations. Now, they've done this before, and we saw, vehicles drive by the first reporter, and then it drives by the second reporter. Well, they've done it again. They're sitting out there, they have a split screen, and you see on the screen, the first reporter, you see a black SUV drive by, and at the same time, on the other screen, you see the black SUV drive away. Now, it's two different angles. One is looking down the street, and one's looking right before they turn down the street, and it looks like they're in two different locations, but it really is the same location. You also see the same people walking behind them. And they're trying to convince us that they're in two different areas, and they completely mess up every single time, and people are calling them out on this. That is fake. Why are you doing a split screen when two people are standing next to each other? It makes no sense. So we can see right now that where are the fact checkers? Where is everyone saying this is disinformation? Where is everyone saying that they're doing a split screen, but they're in the same exact area? Nobody's saying that. And from all the stories that they continually run, they never back up any of it with real facts. It's all propaganda. The corporate media is based on propaganda, and when you try to call them on the propaganda and ask for the sources, when you ask for the facts, guess what? That's when propaganda completely falls apart. We see the United States is out there, and they are now striking the Islamic State in Somalia. Now remember, going back in time, the Cabal, they wanted Sudan, they wanted Somalia, they wanted Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Syria, and eventually Iran. They wanted Ukraine, Venezuela, and they were going to have regime change everywhere. And wherever they needed the Islamic State, which is the paid mercenary force that is backed by the coalition forces, they were going to use them. And since Trump came into office, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, all of a sudden, the Islamic State has been losing ground. Because what is happening here is they are really going after the paid mercenaries. They're allowing Russia, allowing Syria, allowing Iraq to really go after these individuals to wipe them out. That is what's going on in Afghanistan. That is what's going on in Somalia. That is what's going on in Syria right now. And a lot of people thought that there's going to be a lot more troops going in there. The troops that are in Syria right now, not the 300, not 400, but thousands upon thousands of troops that are in Syria right now, they were brought in by the Cabal. They were brought in over the border, and they were there on purpose because they were going to separate Syria into a Kurdish land, into a Syria land. This way they can run the pipeline up through Syria into Europe. They were trying to do this with Iraq, but it is all falling apart. There is no separation. There is no Kurdish land. This is not going to happen right now, because we can see right now that Russia, they are weeks away, and Syria, they are weeks away from liberating Syria completely. And at this point in time, all those troops are going to be asked to leave unless something big happens, they're going to be asked to leave, and that's going to be that. We see right now that the Iraqi troops, they have finally taken control of the Syrian border crossings. They removed the Islamic State, they are destroyed, and now they can control the borders. Now remember, all the military assets, the troop movements were going from Iraq to Syria. The United States, Israel, the coalition forces controlled the border. They kept the Iraqi armed forces away from this. They gave them misdirection to fight the Islamic State. Now everything is being turned around. The Iraqi soldiers are now actually fighting the Islamic State. They're taking back control of their country. We see that the Syrian armed forces, well, they have liberated Deir-Ezor. This is the last major Islamic State stronghold. And they liberated the entire city. And this is game over for the Cabal. Now, the Cabal, they are desperate. They are going to push an event. And they are covering their tracks as they do this because they don't know what's going to happen. They're losing power rapidly. And you can see right now that there's a lot of information coming out. Even though they have this indictment against Manafort, he's intertwined with the Podesta group, which is bringing in the Clintons, which is then bringing in Obama, and the whole thing is starting to fall apart. We see what's happening in Hollywood with this pedophile ring. We see Corey Feldman is out there starting to name names. We see other actors, directors starting to be brought into this. So everything that has been going on for a very long time, all this truth is coming out. Now, the corporate media, they're not out there reporting on all of this. They're, pretending it doesn't exist, and they're reporting on completely and different and other things. That's what they're doing right now. They say, well, if we didn't report it, we didn't lie about it. Now, the CIA, they are publishing a lot of information. They're going back into their public archives, and they're pushing out thousands upon thousands of documents, audio, other type of image files, and they're showing the Bin-Laden raid and all the documents they have. Now, what's very interesting about this is they're trying to link al-Qaeda with Iran. And this is being done on purpose. This is distraction. Because what they need to do is they need to show that they had nothing to do with creating al-Qaeda. Just with the same thing with the Islamic State. Remember, al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, is all part of the intelligent network, which is part of the Cabal. And right now what they're trying to do is they're releasing all these documents. And of course what they did was they changed around and they added things. And they're trying to make links that Osama bin Laden worked with Iran, and Iran used al-Qaeda. Now this is very interesting. They're trying to manipulate the public. And they're trying to show that there is a connection. Because we have proof, because it's in these documents. Documents that, they created. And we know that al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, moderate rebels, the Syrian Democratic Forces, al-Shabaab, these are all creations of the intelligent community, the Cabal, and they used these paid mercenaries to push terror around the world. Now, they are claiming that al-Qaeda operatives, well, they were in Hezbollah camps in Lebanon, and they were being trained together. So there's these 19 pages that have yet to be translated into English, with only very minimal English snippets made available. And this is made available by Long War Journal. And Long War Journal gave it to the press. And they admit that other files show that al-Qaeda kidnapped an Iranian diplomat to exchange for its men and women. Bin Laden himself considered plans to counter Iran's influence throughout the Middle East, which he viewed as pernicious. So when you look at these documents, there are contradictory viewpoints regarding Iran, all in the same Bin Laden documents. Some of it is saying that Iran is part of al-Qaeda, which joined forces with Bin Laden, and then there's other things that say Bin Laden, was against Iran. And we can see right now that there's two different sides and this whole entire thing makes no sense whatsoever. What the corporate media is doing is they're taking certain parts of it and saying, yes, al-Qaeda was part of Iran, Bin-Laden worked with them, and they're going to try to link this probably to 9/11, that Iran was helping, because you have to remember, the Cabal, the deep state, the establishment, they need to cover up all of this, and it looks like this is what they've been doing. Mueller is in Washington right now trying to cover up as much as he possibly can. A lot of it's coming out, and it looks like he's losing control of this. The corporate media is trying to use distraction methods, trying to keep everyone, off of what's really going on and onto what they want. We see the Cabal is trying to start war in North Korea, trying to start war in Iran, and they're doing whatever they possibly can to get that done. And they can see that their time, well, it's ticking down right now because they can see what's happening in the Middle East. And once Syria is cleared and the Cabal has no more power there, and they have no more power in Iraq, and their paid mercenaries are defeated in Somalia, Sudan, in Lebanon, the people are going to take control of their countries. They're going to dictate what they want. They're going to dictate who they do business with. And it's not going to be the United States. Why? Because think about it. All these years, these countries have been at war. All these years, people have been living in fear. All these years, they've destroyed the infrastructure of these countries. And the people, they've been suffering. I mean, think about it. Syria and Russia have been liberating towns, villages, and cities, and the refugees now are coming back to Syria. If Assad is so bad, why are these refugees who left the country, why would millions of them come back into the country? It makes no sense. Why would people be reporting that they're so happy that these paid mercenaries are gone? Because they're the ones who were torturing. They're the ones who were pushing and destroying their neighborhoods. If you look at pictures and you look at their lives before all this happened, before the United States came into Iraq, Lebanon, and all these places, these were incredible cities. People were living their lives. Now they're just broken down, destroyed, rubble everywhere. So you can see right now that the people are going to decide, like, something? We're done. We're going to go towards Russia and China, because you know why? They're coming in and they're going to help us rebuild. They're going to help us join the Belt and Road. We're going to have trade. We're not going to have war. We're not going to be going after these fake terrorist groups. And we can see that this time is coming. So the Cabal, they're running out of time. And as the clock ticks down, they're going to definitely try to pull something. And we can see already that they're covering their tracks, they're pushing the propaganda, and we know that Trump is going out to Asia, and we might see something happen in this area. And we're going to have to watch that situation very carefully. We also know that they've been training and practicing for some type of terrorist attack in an amusement park in King's Dominion. So when you put all this together, plus the cyber attacks where they're trying to build the propaganda that North Korea is behind all this, they have many different outlets where they can push an event. And we can see that Russia is saying within 8 weeks, the Islamic State will no longer exist in Syria. So we're looking at this time frame right now, and we're going to have to watch this very, very carefully. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.